Hello everyone, it's my pleasure to present our paper where we show a longitudinal study about what we define digital filtering in Saudi Arabia. We use the term digital filtering to include both mobile applications and website access. In this paper, I had the pleasure to work with two of the best minds in the field from UC Riverside, Professors Michalis, Faloutsos, and Nael Abu-Ghazaleh. Saudi Arabia is often considered to be one of the most conservative countries in the world. This for sure influences digital filtering in the country. The filtering decisions are motivated by the government's desire to protect the values of the Saudi society, which center around Islam, the official religion of the country. This is in addition to implementing national security and public safety policies. However, in the last years, Saudi Arabia has undergone significant socio-political changes, such as allowing women to drive and allowing the operation of movie theaters for the first time in decades. These changes also combined with significant political events in the region, which seem to have brought forward a more progressive approach in regards to accessing the internet. Specifically, these changes coincide with the start of the execution of the Saudi Arabia's National Vision 2030 that was announced back in April 2016 by the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. This vision was nationally adopted as a roadmap for economic and developmental projects across all fields, with the stated objectives of modernization and openness. Given both the significant social changes and the geopolitical events, a natural question is whether such events translate into changes in the digital filtering policies in Saudi Arabia. There are few studies that are older and less comprehensive than our work, focusing on Saudi Arabia, while there are several studies of internet filtering in other countries. To the best of our knowledge, this paper represents the first systematic longitudinal study of digital filtering in Saudi Arabia. Here I provide the outline of this talk. So first, I will go briefly on the background of the internet in Saudi Arabia. Then I will highlight our contributions. After that, I will present the methodology we used in our measurements, followed by the results. Since here in this study we are curious about digital filtering, in our measurements we consider both mobile applications and websites. And before I conclude this talk, I will show, based on measurements, how digital filtering reflects the wider geopolitical events. So, as I have mentioned before, we can say that it is universally known that Saudi Arabia is often considered to be a conservative country. And for that, the Saudi government is committed to protect the values and the Islamic beliefs of the Saudi society, in addition to providing national security and public safety. With that being said, it makes the internet service available, but manages this access with a filtering system to restrict access to contents that are deemed to be unacceptable or inappropriate. So basically, the blocking is applied to any web content that violates the Islamic values, shares contents that Saudi Arabia considers immoral, such as pedophilia, drugs, pornography, and gambling, or harms national security. Unlike other countries who ambiguously block web pages, Saudi Arabia makes blocking explicit. So as we can see here from the figures, the blue warning page is displayed when a user tries to access a web content that violates the regulations of the Ministry of Culture and Information, while the green one is for any other category that is classified to be inappropriate, such as drugs, pornography, and gambling. In the last years, Saudi Arabia has undergone significant socio-political changes. And as I have said, these changes are combined with significant political events in the region, which seem to have brought forward a more progressive approach regarding access to the information and to the internet in general. With taking all of these things into consideration, in our study we focus on answering three main questions. What content is filtered? How is filtering implemented? And how does filtering evolve over time in response to geopolitical conditions? So, to answer these questions, we have conducted a comprehensive longitudinal study from March 2018 to April this year by performing 3 measurements taken 1 year apart. And to be more specific, in our study, we pursue 3 strategies. To answer the first question, we use a strategy which we refer to as quantification. In here, we conducted measurements to test the network accessibility of a set of sites. We found that the most blocked category is adult, and we also found evidence that the filtering has been decreased by 3.4%, showing that there is a progress towards opening the digital borders in Saudi Arabia. Following the same strategy, we also conducted a systematic study to check the accessibility of 18 mobile applications, including WhatsApp, Skype, FaceTime, and many others. We found that our mobile apps group was completely blocked in 2017, and all apps are turned to be accessible in 2020 except WeChat. Next, to answer the second question, we tried to understand the filtering implementation. Our results show that the filtering is based on HTTP and TLS filtering, and we believe that this work is the first to identify this type of filtering. Lastly, to answer the third question, we interpreted the results to see if there is any connection with the geopolitical events, and interestingly, we found that ISIS-friendly sites are blocked since ISIS is considered to be a radical group and supports terrorism. We also found that some Qatari, Iranian, and Turkish sites are blocked due to political tensions with these countries. To identify the scope of internet filtering inside Saudi Arabia, we tested the reachability of the most popular websites in 18 different categories based on Alexa ranking, which is a service provided by Amazon. For our measurements, we developed a new tool that was inspired by significantly expanding an earlier tool named Samizdat. And specifically in our tool, we take a site as an input, then perform a set of tests to determine the blocking level. So the output of this tool is going to be the classification of the filtering, whether it's based on DNS, IP, HTTP, and/or TLS. We evaluated internet filtering from 4 vantage points inside Saudi Arabia, which are Riyadh, which is the capital city of Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, Mecca, which is the most important holy city in Islam, and Al-Khobar. As shown here in the table, we found that sites are filtered based on HTTP and TLS filtering. The most blocked category is adults, which contain sites related to drug, gambling, and pornography. Unlike previous work, we also conducted systematic measurements on mobile applications to test their accessibility inside Saudi Arabia. Our study involved a total of 18 mobile apps, including WhatsApp, FaceTime, Skype, Line, Telegram, and many others. Prior to our study, we found that all voice over IP protocol call services were blocked by the Communications and Information Technology Commission, CITC. However, back in 2017, CITC announced an official statement to lift the ban on all applications that meet the regularity requirements of the country. Over the 3-year period of our study, we evaluated the connectivity of the apps by installing them on 2 iPhones, one in Saudi Arabia and the other in the United States. In our study, we were interested in chat services, which are text, audio, and video calls. Here we show the results for the app's measurements. So based on our measurement study on the 18 messaging apps, we found that audio and video calls were heavily blocked from 2013 to 2017. However, in 2018, we see that the filtering has been lifted on all applications except for Viber, WhatsApp, Telegram, and AIMO. As we move to 2019, almost all applications were open except for the audio and video calls in WhatsApp and WeChat. However, this year, specifically in April, we conducted the same study and found that the ban on WhatsApp has been lifted and that the only blocked app is still WeChat. Interestingly, we have exhibited a uniquely different behavior when testing WeChat, which is the most popular mobile application in China. We couldn't even install the app since the installation required us to pass a security check, which insisted that we should have a WeChat friend to help us in the registration. And surprisingly, this security check insisted that this WeChat friend herself must meet certain requirements as shown here in the figure. Over the past years, the Middle East experienced several major political events that affected societies internally and externally. Consequently, these events affected Saudi Arabian policies regarding access to information and to the internet. In our study, we were interested in finding these connections between geopolitical events and digital filtering. Based on our measurements, a prominent event is the rise of the so-called the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, known as ISIS. We tested the reachability of a number of ISIS websites that we don't disclose for ethical reasons, and we found that ISIS-friendly sites are blocked since Saudi Arabia considers them to advocate terrorism and destabilization to the region. Also during our study, we found that some Qatari, Iranian, and Turkish news sites were blocked due to the increased diplomatic tensions with these countries in the recent past years. So in this talk, I presented our longitudinal study of digital filtering in Saudi Arabia. The results show that Saudi Arabia has made progress towards opening its digital borders. The tool we developed for our measurements is an open source, and please don't hesitate to contact me by email to request it for now. Eventually, we will have it downloadable. In addition, the 3-year span of our study enables us to observe changes in the filtering policy and view these changes in the wider geopolitical context experienced by the kingdom and the region. For future work, in the short term, we are considering studying server-side filtering. I hope you enjoyed the talk. Thank you.